And we'll welcome those who are joining on the video. And I'll just mention again that we are going to be using a couple of blocks, um, and we're going to begin with foot massage. So if you could sit in a chair or on the floor, and you could just take your thumbs and work the bottom surface of your foot. Or if you have a ball nearby, you might want to start by just rolling your foot on the ball. Either one is fine. And the goal here is simply to soften up the bottom surface of our feet. So, you know, when we were in the fish hatchery, I had some little super balls. You can use a golf ball, you can use a tennis ball, and you want to find some sort of a ball that you can really kind of press into it and feel some sensation. You don't want to be pressing so lightly that there's no sensation, but you know, sometimes a golf ball can just be agony. We don't necessarily want to do that either. But let's begin as we're doing this by really focusing our awareness on what we're doing and really feeling this experience of massaging the bottom of the foot. Maybe you're taking your thumbs and you're pressing in and kind of loosening up, or you're using that ball, and stay on one foot if you can for a while. And you might look at what you're doing. You might close your eyes so you really draw your awareness to what you're doing. And I want us to do this foot massage with an attitude of self-care, right? So really our whole yoga practice is an opportunity to offer care for ourselves. And it's also an opportunity to practice paying attention, to cultivate mindfulness. So setting aside any thoughts of anything else, let's just really focus on what we're doing now. We're going to work a little longer on our first foot. You know, if there's an area you haven't really massaged yet, kind of get into that area. Or if there's an area that you know is really kind of tight, maybe work that area a bit more. And do it in a way that is like therapeutic, that feels good. You know, you can get a massage and it's like agony, or you can get like a massage that feels amazing. So do the one that feels amazing. It feels just right for you. And then we're going to begin to finish up with that first foot. And then before we start our second foot, I want us to take a moment and just stand on our 2 feet. And maybe close your eyes and just let your awareness go to whatever it notices. So the bottom surface of the foot should be woken up. You might really feel the sensation of that foot on the floor, more solidly perhaps than the other foot. And just take a moment to check in with that side of your body and the foot that you were working. Is there any sense of a difference or a feeling of ease or release that you may have cultivated by softening your foot? Just notice. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and do the other foot. So we're going to spend a little time softening up that other foot. And if you're using the ball, you're always, of course, welcome to hold on to a chair or a wall or something. You could do this sitting in a chair if you like. So just make sure you're putting a good amount of pressure, not too much, not too little, just that Goldilocks amount of pressure, weight into your foot, where you're like feeling some release, that you're working that foot, you're getting the bottom surface of your foot to soften up a bit. Maybe we've been spending a little more time barefoot because it's summer, so maybe our feet aren't quite as stiff as they are in the winter when they're in shoes and boots all the time. But of course, this past year we were mostly in our houses, so maybe you've been going barefoot quite a bit, but even when we're going barefoot, our foot surface tends to be more mobile, but it still can be really nice to work that bottom surface of the foot to create some ease in that side of the body. So really focusing on what you're doing here. Feeling, sensation. Really try to explore and feel and notice. And spend a little more time on that second foot. Yeah. And then starting to finish up your second foot. And then again, when you're ready to be done, just standing with your feet beneath you and checking in. Sometimes you have a more profound experience on one side or the other, and it could just be that you had something that released on that side by virtue of working that bottom surface of the foot. So just notice, feel, maybe take a breath. Great. All right, let's transition down to lying down on the floor. And feel free to put something under your head if that's more comfortable. Have a block nearby. But for the moment, just lie back and place your feet on the floor. Feel your body relaxing, feeling the floor supporting you now. Let's take a little time to connect with, we started with our feet. Now I want you to bring your awareness to the roof of your mouth and imagine that the roof of your mouth is broadening out. So I think I used this visualization last week, but I'm going to use it again. Imagine that the roof of your mouth was a pan and someone was pouring pancake batter into the middle of the pan, and that batter was sort of spreading out in all directions. So can you imagine that same sensation of spreading out in all directions, sort of relaxing the roof of the mouth and feeling that relaxation spreading out in all directions, as if that pancake batter were to expand out beyond the confines of your mouth, out to the side and to the back of the head, just that spreading out, expanding sensation going out far and wide. And then just noticing how that feels. And then let's take some time to notice how it feels to breathe deeply. So focusing our awareness on the feeling of the in-breath and the feeling of the out-breath. Feel the breath moving in your body. Let the breath release fully and completely. And as you're breathing, just consider what would be a nice thing to offer yourself this morning. So we're going to practice this morning trying to be really kind to ourselves. So if we were being kind to ourselves, what would we invite in that would be useful, that would support us this morning? So maybe you're just going to breathe in love for yourself. And that's the nicest thing you could offer yourself. Or maybe you breathe in trust for yourself. Or maybe you breathe in forgiveness for yourself. yourself. Or maybe there's something else that would be something nice to offer yourself this morning. Just pick one thing and breathe it in. And as you exhale and you let the breath empty out, you can breathe that same thing back out into the world. Or you might just want to let the breath release. Or you might want to breathe something out that is something heavy that you want to let go of. But let's spend a few more rounds of breath here, breathing in and breathing out in a way that is supportive for you. And then after your next full release of breath, with your next breath in, you can open your eyes if they were closed. And we'll take our feet off the floor and give our knees a hug. Hug them in, sway a little bit, or do any other initial movement that feels nice and supportive for you. And then with your knees in center, we'll just drop our arms to our side. Let's point the toes and lift the legs up in the air and flex the feet and lower the heels down. And we're going to point the toes and lift the legs up and flex and bend the knees. Heels come down, and do that a couple more times. Now, actually, that was one more time. I want you to keep your feet flexed and go up, and then point at the top and bend the knees. We'll flex at the bottom and go up and point and bend. And one more time. Flex and go up and point and bend. Let's grab the knees and just draw them apart. Open them up. Hands resting on the inside of the knees. Take a breath here. And then exhale your knees back in. Lower your feet to the floor. And now take your block. Place it the medium width, not the skinniest or the widest, but the medium width between your thighs. Halfway, kind of between your knees and your body. Hugging onto the block, let's lift our feet up off the floor and bring knees over hips. And then we'll lower, kind of slow, lower the feet down until they land. And then really take a breath. You can not hug in while you breathe in. And on your exhale, hug the block and bring your knees up. And then lower your feet back down. Feel how the low belly is firing perhaps. The feet come down, relax and take a breath. Exhale and hug the block and bring your knees up. And then lower down. Very naturally, the low belly fires here. Feet are down, relax and take a breath. This time, hug the block, bring your knees up, and then straighten your legs up. And can we reverse curl and lift the hips so the low belly works a little bit more? Roll out, bend your knees, and lower your feet down. Relax and take a breath. Hug the block, bring your knees up, lift your legs up, and reverse curl. And then release and bend your knees and lower your feet down and take a breath. Again, exhaling, hug the block, bring your knees up, lift your legs up, reverse curl, and then lower down. Let's do that one more time. We're going to hug the block, bring the knees up, lift the legs up, reverse curl, and then lower down. Once your feet are all the way down, we're going to take the block out, set it off to the side. Let's bring our knees up over our hips. Your arms might go out to your side. We'll take a breath in. As we exhale, let's bring our knees over to the side and just go so far with your knees that to hold your knees there requires some action in the opposite sideways. So if your knees are to the left, it's your right sideways or vice versa. Now take a breath in, and I want us to really slowly use your opposite sideways to kind of pull your knees back to center. So really slow and really activating that opposite side waist until your knees are straight up. And then let them drop over to the other side. Take them as far as you really have to feel some work in that opposite side waist. Take a breath and then really slowly let this side waist work to pull your knees back up. And then let them go over to the other side. You might take your knees in a little closer to feel the side waist, just kind of explore what you need to do so you can feel the side waist working to bring the knees back up. And then over to the other side and take a breath. And then really slowly, gradually contract those obliques to bring the knees back up. Let's do it again on each side. Once your knees, you've found that spot, take a breath and then use that side waist to bring the knees back up. And then last time, over to the other side. Find that place where that side waist contracts and then use those muscles to bring the knees back. Great. All right. Lower your feet down. We're going to roll to our sides. And let's get our forearm underneath us. So we've got our elbow right under our shoulder. We'll put our hands on our hips. We have our knees kind of on an open angle here rather than straight forward, a little more of an open angle. And we're just going to press down to lift the hips up. So our hips could be really close to the floor. Can we lift them up a little higher? So again, that side waist is working to lift the hips up. And then we can lower them all the way to the floor and relax. Or we can come up again. And when we go down, we can just go close to the floor, but not all the way down. So we're going to go up and down and up and down. As we lift up, if we like, we could lift an arm and a leg and then go back down and lift up and reach out and go down. And a few more like this and go down. Pressing that forearm into the floor here. We're bearing a little weight in the shoulder girdle. Let's do two more. Lift up. On this next one, we're going to hold up. So lift up. You could extend the arm and the leg. Could you lift a little higher and take a breath? Great. And then lower yourself down. We're going to swing our legs around and do the other side. So again, get that elbow right underneath your shoulder. Try not to collapse into that shoulder. Be up nice and like some space here. Knees are stacked, hand on the hip. We're going to press down to lift up. And then we could go all the way down and relax down each time. Or we could go up, and as we go down, we just come close to the floor and then lift up again. So the forearm is supporting us, but that side waist is contracting to lift the hips. You're working the outer thigh a bit here as well. And as we lift up, if we want to add a little challenge, we could extend the leg and lift the arm. So a lot of options here. So which one would be best for you today? Constantly kind of checking in with what we need and what feels right. So let's do a few more. We're here. That's a really nice thing that we did for ourselves. We showed up, we came to our mats, and now we can decide how we want to practice. All out or a little more gentle, really paying attention to what feels right. So let's do two more. And then on the next one, we're going to hold. And maybe could you lift that bottom side waist up a bit more, taking a breath. Great. And then lower down. All right, let's come around to all fours. And get yourself set up so your knees are right under hips, wrists under shoulders, spine nice and long. Shift your weight a little bit, move your shoulders a bit, move your hips. Do a cat and a cow, or a cow and a cat, and do them in any way that feels good. Just extending and rounding your spine, moving in any way that kind of loosens you up and gets your spine moving, your breath moving. Maybe check in with what you're breathing in this morning. And then eventually transition back to your flat back. And let's take one leg and press out through the heel. Really fire up that leg. Take the opposite arm and reach it forward. Take a breath. And then bring that knee in, bring the elbow in, lift up in your belly. Maybe you can touch, maybe you almost touch. Inhale and reach out. Exhale and hug up and in. Inhale and reach out. Exhale and hug up and in. Two more. Inhale and reach out. Exhale and hug up and in. Inhale and reach out. Exhale, hug up and in. Can you hug up and in a little bit more? And then inhale and reach out and hold. Get a little longer. And then release that hand and knee down. Let's do the other side. So take the other leg, press back through your heel. Reach out with the opposite arm. Take a breath here. And then bring that elbow in toward the knee. Lift up in the belly. Inhale and reach out. Exhale and hug up and in. Inhale and reach out. Exhale and hug up and in. Inhale and reach out. Exhale and hug up and in. One more time, reach out. One more time, hug up and in, lift up, maybe a little bit higher in the belly. Then reach out and hold, get a little longer, and then release that hand and knee down. Great, let's sit back into child's pose now. Sit back, round over your knees, release your forehead down, breathe in and out here, check in, notice, feel. Can you maintain that spaciousness in the roof of your mouth? A lot of times when we're doing different postures, we kind of grip and hold tension in areas unnecessarily. So keeping that ease in the roof of the mouth here and checking in with that breath, letting the breath empty out. The next time you breathe in, lift your head up, reach your arms out, make your way to downward facing dog. Really rooting through the hands. Take the hips up and back, breathe deeply. Maybe pedal a heel down as you bend the opposite knee, and then alternate. Notice here how it feels to be upside down, to have your hands pressing into the earth, have your spine nice and long, and attractioning with the weight of the head. Let's go ahead and bend both knees a bit more than usual and really draw the hips way up and back. Take a deep breath in and out. And then walk your hands back towards your feet. Lower your heels down. End up in your ragdoll. Arms and head just dangling. Plant your feet firmly. Take a breath into your upper back. Let that breath release. Draw your belly in and roll yourself up. Feel your spine stacking and unfurling. Taking your time to eventually lift your head up with your feet planted. Take your arms out. Inhale and reach up. Lift your heels up as you reach up and overhead. And then exhale and lower down. All right, let's turn to face our device, and we're going to just have our feet beneath us, hip distance. And so what we just did, we'll do it again, was we took our arms out, we lifted our heels, we reached overhead as we breathed in, and then we exhaled and lowered down. We're gonna do it a little differently. We're gonna take a breath in first, and on our exhale, we're gonna lift the heels and lift the arms. And inhale and lower down. A couple more. Exhale to rise up and reach up, and inhale to lower down. Again, exhale, rise up, reach up. Inhale and lower down. Last one, exhale and inhale. Yeah, All right, so when we do that, we try to separate the movement of the ribs from the movement of the shoulders. And we're gonna kind of do something similar. So hopefully you guys can go to a wall somewhere nearby, or a door, a flat surface. I want you to go and stand with your back to the wall. And your heels can be just slightly away from the wall, so there's room for your bum. But you're really, really close to the wall. And then, so your bum is against the wall, and then can you get your upper back against the wall? And then we're gonna try to get our head against the wall. For some of us whose heads tend to naturally be pitched kind of forward, it's gonna be challenging to get our head against the wall. And the only way to do that is to arch the back to get your head against the wall. So our goal here is gonna be about lengthening the back of the neck rather than arching the back. So if your head doesn't make it all the way back, that's okay. Don't arch your back to get your head there. In fact, place your hands on your low ribs and see if you can keep them from jutting forward as you try to bring the back of your head toward the wall. The other thing about bringing the back of our head to the wall is we tend to lift the head up so that we can get our head there. Instead, think about the chin being a little bit tucked, and you could even take a finger and push the back of the head up and back. So the back of the neck lengthens as it tries to, press back into the wall. So best you can, get your head back. Maybe it's touching, maybe you can't get it to touch without arching the back. So get it as close as you can. And then take your arms out wide. And can you press the back of your hands into the wall as you're keeping that nice tall posture, right? Now for some of us, we could bend the arms and get the back of the hands in the wall. For some, this is gonna be too much. Your hands are gonna be away, and that's okay. But try to get your hands back into the wall and take a breath. And let it go. Still thinking about knitting those ribs in a bit here. Slide your arms up a bit. Maybe your arms come away from the wall. Maybe they can stay close to the wall. Just see how that feels. Keep your arms overhead. Take a breath in. As you exhale, knit your ribs. Great. All right, take your arms out. You're still trying to lengthen the back of the neck. Keep the back of your head towards or against the wall. We're gonna lower our arms down, and I want you to plant your palms. So you're gonna internally rotate, plant your palms, and press your hands into the wall. So it feels as though you're pushing yourself away from the wall, but resist. So you're not pushing away from the wall, but you're working the back of your arms here. You're pressing your hands into the wall. So you're working your triceps, the back of your shoulders, in a way that is, it's a nice different way to create some work, some strength in the back of the arms. So we're still knitting the ribs, we're still standing tall, we're still getting the back of the head towards the wall or in the wall. We're continuing to press. Let's breathe in and out. Great. All right. Relax, shake it off. And let's come and stand at the front of our mats. I just want to check that my volume is all the way up. Good. Okay. So come and stand at the front of your mats in mountain pose. Maybe coming back to that really nice posture without the head pitched forward, standing tall without jutting the ribs forward, and really rooting down. And then let's take the arms out and reach overhead. We'll breathe in and we'll exhale and swan dive. Let's take a breath into the upper back here. And as we exhale, we'll come halfway up. Press hands onto shins, lengthen through the crown. And inhale and fold over. We'll bring our hands to the floor now. Let's step back to downward facing dog. Hips go up and back as we breathe in. Exhale to lower to straight arm plank. We'll take a breath here. Exhale and bend the elbows a bit, trying not to let the hips sink down. We'll take a breath here. Exhale and lower all the way onto belly. Finding prone mountain, letting the chest sink. Let's inhale up to baby cobra. Exhale back down. We'll do that again. Inhale up to baby cobra. Holding baby cobra, let's lift our hands up. Let's lift the elbows up towards the ceiling and hug them in toward the midline. Really wake up the upper back, and then release the hands, release the chest. Keeping hands down now, let's inhale up to baby cobra. We could stay here or come up a bit higher into cobra. And then we'll lower ourselves back down. Let's make our way up to knees. Curl the toes under and lift the knees, and then lift the hips up and back to down dog. We'll breathe in and out here. And looking forward, let's walk our feet up towards our hands, plant our feet beneath us. We'll take a breath into the upper back. As we exhale, we're going to swan dive, reverse swan dive. Exhaling as the arms go overhead. Inhaling as the arms lower. We're going to exhale and reach overhead. Inhale and swan dive. Exhale, halfway lift. Inhale, fold. Hands to the floor, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale to straight arm plank. Exhale, little bend in the elbows. Inhale, lower down. Exhale to baby cobra or cobra. Inhale, back down. Exhale, up and back to down dog. Let's hold here for a breath. Again, looking forward, walk our feet up, plant our feet beneath us. Take a breath into the upper back. Exhale, reverse swan dive. Inhale to lower the arms. And again, exhale, arms reach overhead. Inhale, swan dive. Exhale, halfway lift. Inhale, fold. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale, straight arm plank. Exhale, little bend in the elbows. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, cobra or baby cobra. Inhale, back down. And make your way up and back to downward facing dog. All right, from here, let's take one leg, let's take the right leg, lift it up in the air, breathe in. And then bend that knee, hug that knee in towards the elbow and lift up in the belly. And then inhale that leg up and back. Exhale, bend the knee and hug it in towards the elbow. Inhale that leg up and back. Starting the same way, exhale, hug that knee up and in, then look forward and step that foot through to lunge. You could drop to a knee and step the foot out if that's better for you. But get into your low lunge here. So the right foot is forward. Let's place the left hand on the floor. Take the right arm out to the side and inhale that arm up toward the sky. So you're coming into a twist here. Try not to let the right knee drop out to the side. Hug it in. Breathe in and out here. And then bring that arm back down. Now let's have our feet hip distance apart. Press into the front foot, straightening the front leg, rise up. Hands on hips. Let's square our hips to the front of the mat so the heel goes straight back. And then we're going to bend into the front knee. Press that foot down to straighten the leg. Bend into the front knee. Press that foot down to straighten. One more time. Bend into the front knee. Push the foot down to straighten. This time we're going to bend the front knee and keep it bent. Drop your arms down now and press them back. So you could just be here pressing back, or you could clasp your hands behind you, slide them down your back. Can you knit your ribs in a bit, but think about lifting your sternum. So there's kind of action and resistance. Slide your arms down, broaden across your shoulders. Take a breath here. Exhale and hinge forward. So you come sort of parallel to the floor. Reach back with your hands and maybe start to press them up toward the ceiling. Take a breath. And then lower your arms down. Sweep your arms down toward the floor. Bring your hands to heart and come up a bit. So you got hands to chest, you're leaning forward. Take a breath here. Exhale and twist to the right. Your hands could stay to heart or elbow to the outside of the knee. Deepen your twist. You could drop your bottom arm down and lift your top arm up. Take a breath here. And then unwind. Bring your hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. We're going to go right to the second side. If you need to take a break for a moment, go right ahead on your knees. Otherwise, left leg up in the air. Breath in. Exhale, bend the knee, hug it in towards left elbow, lift up in the belly. Inhale that leg up and back. Exhale, hug up and in. Inhale that leg up and back. This time as we hug up and in, we're going to look forward and step through to lunge. Get into our low lunge here. Left foot is forward, right hand on the floor. Take the left arm out and open it up toward the ceiling. Keep that left knee from dropping open, hug it in. Breathe in and out. Then bring that hand back down. We're going to make sure our feet are hip distance apart. Press into the front foot. Inhale and rise up, straightening the front leg. Hands on hips, square the hips forward, and then bend into your front knee. Push that foot down to straighten. Bend into that front knee and push down to straighten. Again, bend and straighten. This time we're going to bend the front knee and keep the knee bent. We'll drop our arms down. Again, you can press back with your hands or clasp your hands behind. Press the arms down, lift the heart up. Broaden across your shoulders. Take a breath here. And then exhale and hinge forward to flat back. Take your arms, reach them back, or maybe reach them up toward the ceiling. Take a breath. And then release your arms down toward the floor. Bring your hands to heart. Lift your chest up a bit. So a nice long line of your leg and your spine. Take a breath. Exhale and twist to the left. Maybe elbow goes to the outside of the knee, or the arm could drop down and one arm reaches up. We'll take a breath here. And then come back. Unwind. Hands to the floor. Step back to down dog. Breathe in and out here. We'll flow one more time into plank. Little bend in the elbows. All the way down to the floor. Inhaling up to baby cobra or cobra. And exhaling back down. And making our way up and back to down dog. Breathing in and out here. Let's again walk our hands back towards our feet, lowering our heels down. Feet can be hip distance or closer together. We're going to sit back into chair. So bend the knees, lower the hips, sweep the arms forward. Sit down nice and low. Arms could be forward or reach them up alongside your ears. Breathe in and out here. Then push down to straighten the legs and rise up, reach up, breathe in. Then exhale your arms down at your side. Great. All right, let's use one block now. Find yourself a block. And come into a wide stance. Let's turn the right foot in and turn the left foot out. Just for a moment, bend your front knee and set that block down behind the ankle. And then straighten the leg. So let's make sure this back foot is turned in. The outer edge of that foot stays down as we bend our front knee and as we straighten in. So just do that a few times. Bend and straighten and bend and straighten. Let's bend that knee and keep it bent. We're going to lift that front heel up just a bit. Feel as though we're drawing the heel back toward the midline. Wake up the lower leg. Then place the heel back down. We're going to tip over from the pelvis and bring the forearm on the front thigh. We'll take the other arm forward and then open it up. Try to create some space from your bottom shoulder to your top shoulder, from your bottom shoulder to your bottom ear. Take a breath here. Then take your gaze down toward the floor. Place your hand either on your shin or on the block. And as you're looking down at your foot, try to keep your head right where it is as you start to straighten your front leg. And it may not get straight, and that's okay, but try not to let your head draw back as you kind of work to straightening your front leg. And then once your leg is more or less straight, then again, rotate to look towards your device. So we're in triangle pose here. Breathe in and out. Then take your gaze back down. You can bring that top hand back on your hip. You could actually stay here and do that again, open into triangle, or we could go into a balancing half moon. So we could bring the weight onto the front foot, step the block forward, start to straighten the front leg and lift the back leg up, pressing out through the back heel. And you could just keep your hand on your hip. You could keep right where you are. You could turn and bring your gaze towards your device. You could reach your arm up again. So lots of options here. Let's take another breath or two. And then you might want to look down at the floor, bring your hand onto your hip, bend your front leg and step your back foot down. And then we're going to make our way up, and we'll do that a whole series on the other side. So bring your feet forward, then bring your back foot in, turn your right foot out. Go ahead and just bend your front knee and set that block down, neck behind the ankle, and then come back up. So again, get your footing, really feel grounded. Feel that outer back foot planted, and then we'll bend the front knee and straighten it, and bend it, and straighten it. This time let's bend it and keep it bent. We're going to lift that front heel up just a bit. Feel as though we're pulling that heel back, waking up all the way into the pelvic floor, and then lower that heel down. So I say tip over from the pelvis because sometimes we tip over from the head, and it's a much more efficient movement to move from your center. So tip over from your center, let your head follow, bring the forearm on that front thigh, take the other arm forward and open it up. Feel space radiating out from your center. Breathe in and out here. And then let your head rotate to look down. Take that bottom arm, hand on the shin or hand on the block. And then, can you keep your gaze right where it is and start to work to straighten the front leg? It may not get all the way straight, but you're just working toward that. Get it as straight as it's going to get. And then again, revolve your gaze, your chest back towards your device. Breathe in and out here. So you could hang out here, or you could return your gaze to the floor, bring your hand to your hip, step that back foot in, step the block a little forward, and then straighten your standing leg, lifting the back leg up. And you might choose to just stay here looking down. You might rotate to look towards your camera. You might lift your top arm up. Wherever we are, we're going to breathe in and out. And then if you're looking forward, you might look back down at the floor. We're going to bend the standing leg and step the back foot down. We'll bring the block along as we come all the way up. Great, let's turn the feet forward. And we're going to walk our feet together. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm debating about this next. If we have time for this next one, let's try and do it. We're going to use our 2 blocks. We're going to stand at the front of our mat and just fold over so the blocks are, your hands are on the blocks and your wrists are under your shoulders, right? You fold it over and your knees can be soft here. Your legs can be straight, whatever's better for your body. Okay, let's take a big step back with the leg that's not closest to your device. So whatever leg is not closest to your device, step back. And then bring your blocks back. So again, they're right under your shoulders. So that back foot, I want it planted with the heel down and the foot deeply angled towards that same front corner of your mat. So right now your front knee might be bent, and try to work to straighten it best you can and pull that hip back. And then let it bend a little bit. And then try and straighten that front leg and pull that hip back. And then bend it again. And then straighten and pull that hip back. As you're pulling the hip back now, lengthen your spine. So the blocks raise you up enough so that hopefully you don't have to bend at the waist here. Your spine can be long. So as we're here, let's keep the same hand as the back leg on the block. Take the other arm out to the side and open into a twist. So it's kind of a revolved triangle here. Pull that front hip back. Press down to lift up. Create space across your chest. Breathe in and out. Then bring your hand back down. So option to do that same thing again. Or just like before, we're going to step the blocks forward, bring the weight onto the front foot, pick the back leg up. And again, the hand that's not the same as the back leg goes out to the side and maybe revolves up toward the sky. Revolved balancing warrior. Breathe in and out here. Press out through your heel. And then come back down. And let's just bring that leg right next to the other. And then take a big step back with the other foot. Bring your blocks back. Plant that back heel down, deeply angled towards the front, same corner. Start to try and straighten the front leg and pull that front hip back. And then bend that front knee. Do that again. Straighten that front leg and pull that hip back. And then bend that knee. This time, straighten the front leg best you can. Pull that hip back. And then feel your spine nice and long here. Yeah. So same hand as the back leg. That stays on the block. Other arm goes out parallel to the floor and then opens towards the ceiling. Yeah. Pull that front hip back. Straighten that front leg best you can. Space across the chest and back. Breathe in and out. And then bring that hand down. You could do that same thing again, or step the blocks forward, weight onto the front foot, straighten that front leg, press out through the heel on the back leg, and then same arm as the front foot, reach that arm out to the side, and then rotate that arm up toward the ceiling. Breathe in and out here, pressing out through the heel. And then come back down. Just let that leg come back, place it next to the other foot. Fold over here. Let your elbows bend, let your head drop. Breathe into your back body. Let the breath go. Draw your belly in. You can leave the blocks, just roll yourself up. Coming up to stand. Great. All right, let's come all the way down to the floor. And we're not going to use the blocks anymore. I want you to lean back on your hands and place your feet wider than your hips. And then just roll to the sides of your feet. Let your knees drop to one side. Bring them back up. Roll to the sides of the feet. Let your knees drop to the other side. Bring them back up. Go to the first side, but as you roll your knees to the side, let them go all the way down. Lift your back hand off the floor and end up with both knees bent, both legs on the floor. Then orient yourself around over that front knee, hands on either side of that front knee, and lower your chest down over your thigh and your front knee and lower onto your forearms. You know, so you might want to be a little more to the left, a little more to the right, kind of shift your weight around so that you're feeling an opportunity to get a nice stretch into that same hip, that front hip. Your back leg, you can adjust that leg any way you like. Some people like it straight, some people like it bent, you know, whatever feels good. But we want to bring the weight forward so we're stretching into that front hip. And you might lower your head to the floor, you might let it rest on the block. And we're just going to breathe in and out here into that front hip. And let the breath go. Mindful breaths, breathing in something that supports us. Letting the exhale be a nice releasing. One more breath. When you're ready, lift your head up and make your way all the way up. We're going to reach back and lift the knees up, and we're going to rotate around to the other side. If you were using the block for your head, bring it along. So both knees come down, and then I'm going to just turn a little so I can see you. So you're going to orient over the front knee and lower your weight over that front knee, and just shift your weight a little till you feel the optimal stretch in that front hip. That back leg can stay just as it is, or you can change it if you like. And lower down, if you can get your forehead supported, it's going to allow your upper body to relax more. And you can just breathe into that front hip. And let your breath go. After your next breath empties out, you can begin to make your way back up. Lean back and bring your knees up. And then we'll go ahead and straighten the legs. We're going to begin to transition to lying down on our backs. And so you might want to, if it's chilly where you are, put on a layer, put on some socks, get a blanket. Maybe you want a pillow for under your head. So make your way to lying down, and if there's one more movement that would feel nice or kind or supportive for yourself before you drop into your relaxation, go ahead and take some time for one more movement, anything that would feel nice for you as we begin to transition to our final relaxation. And our final relaxation is, again, an opportunity to offer kindness to ourselves, because relaxation is essential. And maybe you got a really good night's sleep last night, or maybe you didn't. But sleep, we know we need sleep, right? The body restores itself when it sleeps. But a lot of us have difficulty finding ease in our day, in our waking day. And so it's very useful to practice understanding and really experiencing and knowing what it feels like to be relaxed, even when we're awake. So this is one of the reasons we practice this. So can we allow the body to settle? Because what we find is that when we get the body to relax, it's this lovely opportunity for the mind to rest as well. So let's offer that to ourselves, the state of ease and relaxation. Feel the weight of the feet and legs resting into the floor. Feel your calves and your shins relaxing. Let the backs of your knees relax. Feel the weight of your thighs dropping, releasing into the floor. Give the weight of your hips to the floor. Let your seat settle. Allow your belly to begin to soften, to unclench. Just melting the weight of your hips into the floor. Allow the floor to receive the weight of your upper back, your shoulders, your arms. Feel your palms softening. your elbows softening. Your heart softening and opening. Feel the heaviness of the back of your head resting on the floor. Let your neck relax. Let your jaw release. Let your throat soften. Feel your eyes resting back and your forehead smoothing. Let your whole body and your mind rest now. Just allow yourself to be as you are. No need to change or fix anything now. Just rest, peace, ease, relaxed. I'm going to share a little reading with you. You're welcome to continue lying back. This is from Mark Nepo. And he says, the great and fierce mystic William Blake said, there is no greater act than putting another before you. This speaks to a selfless giving that seems to be at the base of meaningful love. Yet, having struggled for a lifetime with letting the needs of others define me, I've come to understand that without the healthiest form of self-love, without honoring the essence of life that this thing called self carries, the way a pod carries a seed, putting another before you can result in damaging self-sacrifice and endless codependence. I have in many ways over many years suppressed my own needs and insights in an effort not to disappoint others, even when no one asked me to. This is not unique to me. Somehow in the course of learning to be good, we have all been asked to wrestle with a false dilemma, being kind to ourselves or being kind to others. In truth, though, being kind to ourselves is a prerequisite to being kind to others. Honoring ourselves is, in fact, the only lasting way to release a truly selfless kindness to others. It is, I believe, as Mencius, the grandson of Confucius, says that just as water unobstructed will flow downhill, we, given the chance to be what we are, will extend ourselves in kindness. So the real and lasting practice for each of us is to remove what obstructs us so that we can be who we are, holding nothing back. If we can work toward this kind of authenticity, then the living kindness, the water of compassion, will naturally flow. We do not need discipline to be kind, just an open heart. So you can continue lying back if you like. You could start to transition up towards a seated posture. You can close out your practice with a few moments to really just center, connect, breathe gratitude, whatever supports you. I appreciate your presence here this morning. It's great to practice together. Hope you all have a really awesome day. And welcome to come on and say hello or goodbye or ask a question or make